I can't see anything. So foggy. Let's go this way. Our morning hike slightly delayed. Oh, considerably delayed actually. Hey Poland, how's it going? And Sweden, you might be used to this. It's gray in Sweden sometimes. But this is the afternoon. We're up on the peak. About, hang on a second, about 1,400 feet above sea level. Socked in a major fog. Hey Brian, should be going to bed soon. It's getting late there. This is actually light fog. The other side of the mountain was much heavier. And I could barely make my way around. It's sort of diminished over here. I can see the trees. Don't think we're going to see the city when we get up there. Oops. Do I scope with the drone? Yes, I do scope with the drone, just not today. Today the drone is at home, where my kids are using it to knock over dominoes. I don't know if I close my eyes, I do kind of know where I am all the time. When we get to the viewpoint, we're about 52 minutes from home, if I'm periscoping. If I'm walking by myself, I can do it a bit faster. Kids do like dominoes. I actually just ordered them a new box from the United States, from Amazon actually. Just ordered them a case of like 300 dominoes, so they can make some crazy domino chains. Hey Oliver. Up we go. So I gotta finish this walk, and then I need to do about an hour on the treadmill today to get to my 20,000 steps, because it's been a slow day. The boys were into cars for a tiny little bit, basically age 5. He liked the Cars, the cars from the movie Cars. But that didn't last very long. Okay, lady, ram into me with your baby. The little kid's head was sticking over the side. It almost went into my knee. She had her head down. She wasn't looking. Are you scared walking here? No. Why? Of course not. This is Hong Kong. It's a very, very safe place. A little worried about snakes. I do watch for snakes, but that's it. It's very safe here. I've walked this at night a couple times even. A little dark, but not anything. I don't know if Fast and the Furious opens here tomorrow. I'll probably watch that one on DVD. No need to rush to the theater. Hello. Yeah, USA's asleep. It's his unblocked box. I just had to fix it. And I haven't actually heard from him. He's busy today, so we haven't chatted. I may see him tomorrow, though. It's a slight incline, this part. But once I crest in about 200 meters, it's all downhill, all the way to my house. So I do breathe a little bit heavier here. No, it's not smog, it's just clouds. Rain. It's supposed to rain heavily tomorrow. Thunderstorms, actually. And we have zero visibility out into the harbor. So we can't see it. Oh, bonjour, France. It's not cold. It's actually quite warm. I'm in shorts and a polo shirt. And even with that, I'm sweating. It's mostly humidity. 5 miles. Yeah, I walk 10 miles a day. It's about 20,000 steps every day. Yesterday was 22. I really will go for a 20 today, but when I get home, we've got to do a domino video with my kids, and they want me to use the drone. So we tried last night to use the drone to knock over dominoes, but the propeller wash was so strong, the propeller wash knocked over the dominoes. So tonight we're going to tie a domino on a string and then tape it to the drone and do it there. You were just here. Okay. Oh, it was this foggy when you were here. You got home today. Oh, there's a building, slightly. You can see one building. So I did a YouTube simulcast this morning, and I got home and I watched the video comparison. Whoa, significant difference between the YouTube and the Periscope video. Unbelievably, actually. Hottest time of the year is usually August. I did a half week in China. Cool. I have a friend coming in this weekend, actually. I may take them to Shenzhen next week. Oh, the YouTube quality was much better. The comments are a bit slower, and I don't have the same follower base on my YouTube channel, Penguin6, that I have here on Periscope. So I make video blogs over there, though. Well, this isn't good. Well, I'm going to be so bold as to say some idiots were playing with the cones. So this path is now open. Watch, there was a reason, like the bridge is out or something. The cones were there for a reason. Ah, it's a giant monster. Well, you can just see some buildings. I have about 1,000 followers on YouTube. I'd love to have more subscribers, so feel free to subscribe, YouTube Penguin6. But you're right, it does take a long time. It's taken a long time to build it up on Periscope. Unfortunately, people don't give up on YouTube that easily. They always keep coming back. Periscope, a lot of people have deleted the app, I think. A lot of my subscriber base. So I really don't know how many active subscribers I have here. Or just muted the app and they don't come in anymore. So, 51,000 followers. Yeah. And people don't clean up their subscriber bases much. I'm very close to 20,000 subscribers on Twitter. In fact, I will probably cross 20,000 subscribers on Twitter tomorrow. I'm one of the preferred recommended Twitter followers for new signups from China. So if you sign up for Twitter in China, I'm one of the first guys you see. So as a result, I get a lot. I get about 100 new followers a day, sometimes 200 on Twitter, mostly from Easter eggs in China. Notifications do get quite annoying. I have muted them. So we can't really see much of the city right now because of the haze and fog. But I assure you it's down there. The buildings are down there. Twitter has more ads now. Oh, cool. Really massive fog. So let's make our way down farther. Yeah, you can individualize your notifications. Don't speak Russian, but privet. We will see more of the buildings as we make our way down the mountain. As we get under the fog. I think the fog is about 1,000 feet today, and we're at about 1,400. So as we go down the mountain, we'll get under the clouds, and we'll be able to see those buildings down there. Hey, welcome to Periscope. You're in Hong Kong with me, Penguin6, and it's very, very foggy. So we're not really seeing a lot of the city today. But we're gonna go hike down this mountain. Take us about 40-45 minutes to get to my house from here. Unless I take a shortcut. But I prefer the long way. More steps, less time on the treadmill. So I gotta figure out what movie I will watch on the treadmill today. Ooh, child, things are gonna get. Oh, it's raining. Kong Island. I saw Trainspotting 2. I could rewatch Trainspotting 1, but I generally find on the treadmill action movies go better. Things that make me lose, like Mad Max was just awesome on the treadmill because my just focus was entirely like, whoa, look at that, whoa, look at that. And foreign films too are actually pretty good because I have to read the subtitles. So I don't get distracted as easily. It's actually a French cop show I was watching. I do live here. Well, I live down in the mid-levels, which is down that way. I've lived here for about 7 years. Pretty significant portion of my life, I guess. I don't think I've lived 7 years in one place in a long time. Let me think. I guess I lived in the DC area for longer than that. No, there are not a lot of immigrants. There's a lot of transients that come through Hong Kong. But it's not really a place you move to be an immigrant because it's so expensive. You know, it's not like your poor, wretched masses yearning to be free would move to Hong Kong where they have to spend, you know, thousands and thousands of US dollars a month for a small one-bedroom apartment. There are some amnesty, some refugees here, but the government has an incredibly low refugee acceptance rate. And it's actually talked about leaving the UN Treaty on Refugees. It is actually a source of embarrassment for the government, their attitude towards refugees. The Perry movie, huh? He does okay where he lives, yeah, but he doesn't have kids. You know, and when you have kids, you want to keep them at a certain standard relative to where they're used to living. We want our kids to, you know, feel okay. Well, the average family in my son's international school spends $11,500 US dollars a month. $11,500 US per month in rent. Now, I don't pay that much at all. I pay considerably less than that. And Jonathan JK, I think he spent about $1,000 US a month in rent for his studio in Kowloon. I live in the mid-levels. So the Chinese internet is exploding this afternoon with the United Airlines story. He does share a studio. U.S. money and Hong Kong dollars have the same exchange rate. It's a pegged exchange rate. So there's no difference, really. I mean, a can of Coca-Cola in the United States is $1. A can of Coca-Cola here in Hong Kong is $1. U.S. You know, so China land real estate is cheaper, but taxes are pretty high in China. Don't forget I have to pay 2 taxes, U.S. and Hong Kong taxes. Ooh, China. I'm a dad. I do dad stuff for a living. Occasionally make videos. I actually was working today on my new project. I was reviewing milestone number 1 from my developers, one of 4 milestones they've got to reach. I hit the first one, so I did a review of that. And then the next one is due in a week or 2. In a week, and I'm finished. No, there is no double taxation treaty. The euro is about on parity of the dollar, but there's a free-floating exchange rate. So the euro or the dollar can go up or down based on market conditions, whereas the Hong Kong one is a fixed, pegged exchange rate. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority forces the exchange rate to be at a certain point. So if there's a demand, the Monetary Authority will step in and sell dollars to keep the exchange rate as it is. Yes, you pay double taxes. Though your first 100,000 US is tax exempt, and your first, say, 100,000 in housing expenses is tax exempt. You basically exclude that from your calculations in your US taxes, and then you have to pay on the remainder, whatever the rate is. So like a normal American doesn't even start to pay taxes until what, $40,000 or $50,000 in income. When their adjusted gross income is whatever, 40,000, then they have their first actual dollar of taxation based on exclusions and deductions and all that. And then they pay at the lowest rate, whatever that is, because we have a progressive tax system. But our system, because we exclude the first 200,000, our first dollar of adjusted gross income is actually taxed at the highest rate. So, like if I say my adjusted gross income is $100,000, I have to pay 33% or whatever on that $100,000 because it comes after the exclusion. Whereas if you make $100,000 in the United States, your first 40 or 50,000 isn't really taxed. Your next 10 or 20 is taxed at one rate, then another rate, and then another rate. So your marginal tax rate is considerably less on that $100,000. It's complicated. That's why my tax form is about 60 pages long, and I pay accountants to do it. Some of the stuff I have to do on our tax forms, even the tax cut programs, they can't handle it. They're just like, you have to write that in ink. It's like, thanks, great. Though it is a bit scammy. They've talked a lot about having, for the vast majority of Americans, the IRS knows exactly how much your income was, and they could send you a pre-printed tax form easily enough. But H&R Block fights them, their lobbyists fight them to prevent that from going on because it would drive them out of work. All those little storefronts and retail shopping malls. would lose their jobs if the government sent out pre-printed tax forms. And some people wouldn't get all the deductions if they didn't know what they were doing. So as a result, we don't send out pre-printed tax forms. It's really quite a mess. A huge drain on the national economy. The hours spent dealing with forms. It is beautiful up here. So these are rugby teams here. I see you saw a bunch of German guys there marching around. It's tad obnoxious. People will call them Americans, say, look at those obnoxious Americans. Even though we're not Americans, but we still get the blame for it. That happens a lot.
Special for the group.
It's a huge group of Wailos today. Let's get out of this mess. It's the afternoon, yeah. It's 4:15 in the afternoon. Making our way home. My son has a play date today. There's a kid running around our house. So we'll go home and see what they're up to. I do live here. Well, I live down the mountain. That's where we're heading now. You can't really see my house right now. We'll see it in a bit. Oh, you can. I live right over there. So it's about a half hour from here to get to my house. And we're going to walk down the mountain as we do every single day. This is my normal daily routine to walk around the peak. It's how I lose weight, lost weight. Tonight, dinner tonight is going to be British lettuce. I went to Marks and Spencer and I bought a head of lettuce from England. Scary, it's actually very beautiful. It's very peaceful and very safe. No, we have a very, very low crime rate in Hong Kong. The only thing you have to worry about at night are snakes. There are some snakes that come out at night, but crime is not really something we worry about. Miss the scopes? Hey, we've been here for a while. I've done this at night. I've done it even on the part that's not lit, which is a little bit spooky because there are animals in the jungle. The most fun was when I did it with my wife and we had no flashlights and she was freaking out. Frogs were jumping and stuff and she was screaming. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy today. Dance off, bro. There we can see my house. I live right there. That's my house. So, no, China will not unpeg the Hong Kong dollar. It's Hong Kong that has to decide, and nobody wants to peg it to that. Oops, sorry, there's my house. That phone just dropped. Someday we'll get. Hello, what kind of work do you? I'm a dad. I do dad stuff. Like take my kids to soccer practice, teach them about Boy Scout things, talk to them when they have a problem. I am an American, but I've lived here about 7 years. Yeah, sometimes I stay at home, sometimes I go out, sometimes it rains. Tram's coming. I'm not going to buy my apartment. Renting is cheaper. Here it comes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, my wife's a banker. So my rent for my apartment is $8,200 US a month. If we were to buy our apartment, it would cost $4 million US. $4 million US. We would have to pay 1.6 million as a down payment, 1.6 million as a down payment, and then we would have to pay about 11 or 12,000 US dollars a month in a mortgage payment. And that's in a property market that can go up or down 5% a year. So basically, you run the risk of losing, say, $250,000 a year if the market tanks or goes down. So, no, we're not going to buy our place. The monetary, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I'd love to have that much money that I could think about buying a place, but at this point in our lives, I'm not going to put aside a 1.6 million. It is the Peak Tram. It's a tourist tram, actually. It's been around for over 100 years, though those carriages are only about 30 years old. They're building a new set of carriages that'll go into service in a few years. It'll be a much bigger train, longer stations, so there'll be less people waiting outside. Debachi Wubu Dao. I don't read Chinese characters. I'm going to be back in the United States this summer for, I don't know, maybe a month. Not really sure. Ooh, child. We're not really sure what we're doing this summer. The oldest is actually kind of hinting he wants to go to Europe. The wife is kind of flexible. The youngest wants to go to our home on the East Coast. I don't really watch wrestling anymore. Not since Andre the Giant left. Back when the Hulk Hogan was in WrestleMania. Back when there were actually good guys and bad guys in wrestling. Now they're all just bad guys. I do, however, like one YouTube video called The Most Illegal Move in Wrestling History. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that one, but that is a YouTube worthy of being watched, called The Most Illegal Thing in Wrestling History. I will probably see my parents. I like college football. I like European football, soccer. I like a lot of different sports. College basketball. I don't like baseball that much, or NBA that much. Don't like golf. I enjoy baseball occasionally. I'm not like, but I would never do like 30 games a year. I would never go to that many baseball games. I could go to like 5 or 6 baseball games a year. Yeah, The Most Illegal Move in Wrestling is a hilarious YouTube video. So, Arsenal. I'm a season ticket holder to Arsenal. Hello, Africa. There's quite a few Africans in the southern China region, mostly in Guangzhou. There's like 150,000 Africans, primarily in import-export. They go into China and buy goods and stuff and ship them back to Africa for resale. I have 3 season tickets to the Arsenal. Ooh, child, what the heck? Ooh, use the Force. Ooh, look at that Jedi mind power spiderweb. I like Wenger. I think the problem is not Wenger. I think the problem is Kroenke, the owner. I think that he has an expectation of mediocrity, and I really wish Kroenke would get out. Wenger is getting old. I'd like him to retire gracefully. I fear what comes next as long as Kroenke is still the owner. The Arsenal was destroyed last night. It was quite sad. It shows, though, in football what motivation can do when a team gives up, like Arsenal did. Yeah, over. People do listen to podcasts here. Someday we'll be together. It was pretty embarrassing. I used to work in London, and I used to stay near Highbury, Finsbury Park area a lot. So that was kind of the local side. I don't have a favorite podcast. I listen to a lot. I actually was listening to The Archers earlier today, which is kind of a soap opera podcast from the UK about farming life. Kind of a local team. Someday we'll be here. You still listen to podcasts? If I have to leave Hong Kong, where would we move? I don't know, honestly. It's a question we ask ourselves. Someplace good for the kids. Of course, one option is we go back to Washington, D.C. But D.C. is kind of different. I think we would prefer a more walkable city, more safe city, not as uptight. Maybe Europe? I don't know. I like Amsterdam. I really like pancakes. No, it's the nice parts of DC are extremely nice. They're a little bit snobby and kind of phony and whatnot, which kind of rubs me the wrong way. And they have sort of also I don't really like the culture that exists for children growing up in the DC area. The lax bro, as they're called, the cross buddies, the lax bro sort of mentality and the hyper-stressed kids and whatnot. I would prefer our kids to have a more normal, mellow life somewhere outside of the DC area. I've actually lived in all 4 quadrants of DC. We keep a house in Maryland outside of DC, but I'm not sure we'll go back. A really loud bug. The nice parts of DC are quite nice, don't get me wrong. It's just a little stuffy. What the hell? That's something lit up over there. That's kind of eerie, isn't it? Gata. No, I don't know what that is. Oh no, Northwest DC and the Maryland and Virginia suburbs are some of the wealthiest areas in the country. I mean, I think several of the richest counties in the country are Maryland suburbs. Montgomery County, Fairfax County, Loudoun. It's not... I mean, the typical suburban DC person is 2 people, one working as like a high-level government executive and another one in the private sector as a lawyer or something. They definitely have a 6-digit income, If you work for the Congress, you actually don't make a lot of good money. It doesn't pay as well as the government service does. Like if you're a 10-year veteran of Capitol Hill, you'd actually make a lot more being a 10-year veteran of the EPA or NHS or whatever, some other agency. Because the Congress, their pay scale has actually got a lot of kids. A lot of young people under 30 working for the Congress who they can pay cheaply. Don't know what they're doing. It's very humid. Rome and Naples, 6 weeks you're moving. Yeah, a lot of senators are millionaires, and congressmen too. I see how it happens. I mean, when you're up there, you're a congressman, you start to associate with wealthy people, bankers, businessmen. You're offered opportunities to participate in other sort of things. Hey, we're putting together a group of guys, all who are going to chip in, let's say, $100,000, and we're going to buy this property and redevelop it. And would you like to join our group? And they're like, oh, okay. So, yeah, Tyson's is a bit of a mess. I mean, it's traffic-wise, but some nice areas out there. I think I would prefer a slightly smaller town, more of like a college town feel, a place where it's can get around easily. Don't know where that would be. I mean, I love places like Cambridge in England, but you know, it's also a different culture. I'm not English. It is a bit different. And I don't know about raising my kids there. It's great if you're in primary school, but English secondary schools have got a lot of issues outside of the classroom. It's been a big problem in England. England's primary program is one of the best in Europe, one of the best in the world, actually. But when the kids get to secondary school, they tail off considerably. And I don't think a lot of education reformers have quite figured out what's going on in England in secondary schools, high school. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon. We're going to go cut down through this. I think there's a lot of pressure to get too old too quick. I think the same pressure exists in the U.S. Come to Poland. Well, the PY primary year program is a PYP, which is English, actually scores very high across Europe. But in secondary, the kids start to drift off. They start to drift into other things. They get distracted by life. There's more of a boozy culture and stuff. Going to Oxford, very stressful. That's insane. It's a tough test. My niece just did a year at Cambridge. She went to Stanford Med School, and she took a year off to get a master's at Cambridge, and she really enjoyed it over there. I think she's actually being geared towards academia. I think her professors have identified her as a potential academic all-star long term, and she got this scholarship to go to Cambridge. Thank you, Bill Gates. We're about 20 minutes from home. I've got a couple Periscopes to upload from yesterday. I'm going to upload this Periscope. Ice Spikes test, yeah. I don't really like New York City. It's just a little too big, too crazy. Again, the same East Coast culture. I don't really like the East Coast culture, the pressure it puts on the kids. And you know, the other thing is the drug use on the East Coast is considerably high. It's definitely higher than it is here. West Coast, I don't know. California is a bit weird. It's tough. My rent is $8,200 US a month. So 8,200 US per month. So what's that? The Hong Kong local school system is ridiculously intense to the point that kids commit suicide. Insane. But the international schools is actually kind of mellow, like, you know, like good suburban high schools. You know, I did see a study, though, that said it really doesn't matter what school you go to. Good kids will prosper in bad schools. There are snakes. It's just very expensive. Between now and the time my son starts university, I've got to spend $1 million US in rent. $1 million US in rent between now and the time my son starts college. So, I mean, yeah, am I really willing to spend $1 million? I mean, heck, that's both of my children's college education right there. It's crazy. So, oh, I am pretty hot and sweaty. So it's 4:33. I guess I'm going to have to do the drone thing with the kids when I get home. Then I can go on the treadmill. Nah, South is hot. Honestly, I'm kind of a Midwest kid. I'm kind of drawn back to the simple life of the Midwest. Though Illinois is a disaster. That's where I grew up. Indiana's a little weird. Iowa's a little too mellow. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, to be honest. Kids will go back to the United States. I've never really been to Kansas City. I know they have a good soccer program there. And they got gigabyte internet. It's funny, I was watching Twister the other day. Twister is a movie that makes me feel homesick. Because I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Illinois. So, hearing tornado sirens is kind of like brings back memories. When the kids go to school in the United States, will we join it? It depends. Because my kids are 3 academic years apart. So my youngest would be right in the middle of high school when my oldest starts university. So following the oldest to the United States would mean ripping the youngest out of high school right in the middle of high school. So that's not something that I could foresee doing. Milwaukee. Yeah, I was in Milwaukee in the middle of a blizzard. I got bumped from a flight. I got bumped from a plane. I didn't get arrested. So I had to spend the night in Milwaukee. They were going to put me up at some crap hotel, and I ended up going down to Central. I was just like, I'll stay in a nice hotel. I don't care. So the Chinese internet is exploding about that United Airlines situation today, claiming it was racist that they picked out the Chinese guy to throw off the plane. So it's basically Chinese airlines. Chinese social media is in meltdown mode. My understanding is 4 people got bumped. I did live in Chicago for a while. 4 people got bumped off that flight. An explosion in Turkey. Oh wow. Weibo is the main social media platform. It's like Twitter. First it was Egypt, now it's Turkey. My wife has an office in Istanbul, but I don't think we'll transfer there anytime soon. Japan's a different place. A lot of earthquakes to worry about there. Very, very expensive. It is pretty. There's wild boar, and there's porcupines and snakes and birds, but generally during the day you don't really encounter any of those. Any of the birds you run into. No, they're bad. No real tornadoes and things. Honestly, North Korea is pretty far away. It's about a 5-6 hour flight from here. So we don't really, we know what's going on, but the only reason they care about it is how much it'll affect their markets financially. Everything here is about money. A lot of interesting moves today. The Chinese finally got around to actually enforcing the ban on North Korean coal, the one they said they put in place 6 months ago. But today, reports are that the ships were actually turned away. If we go to the US, we may go through Tokyo. The kids want to go to the Pokemon Center in Tokyo, so we thought about doing a 1 or 2 day stopover in Tokyo. Well, I mean, Americans worry about North Korea for less than financial reasons. I mean, nobody really worried about that here. But more worried about like, their sons and cousins and nephews dying if there's a war. Whereas here it's just, how much money could we make if the shooting starts in North Korea? I don't know, they dispatched 150,000 troops to the border, they said, to prepare for casualties. Kind of weird. Yeah, the Chinese deployed 150,000 troops to the North Korean border, saying supposedly most of them were hospital and logistics units to prepare for refugees that might be coming over the border from North Korea. That is number 1 Chatham Path. That's a house. It's a 6-bedroom, 6,000 square foot house. You can rent it for $33,000 US a month. We're on the final steps of our hike. We'll be home in less than 5 minutes probably. Yeah, they have to walk up this path to get to their house. They do have a guy who drives a golf cart who can take them up and down the path. I am an attorney, but I don't practice. When were the troops deployed? Last night? This morning? You can read about it. Just type China, North Korea troops in Google News. You'll see the stories. I don't really practice. I was doing corporate kind of stuff. No, I don't run a company. I'm building a company, but I haven't actually formally established it yet. Owning a company overseas when you're American incurs a tremendous amount of paperwork, which I don't feel like doing right now. So I haven't really set up the company structure yet. I haven't had a need yet because I'm not taking any revenue. I'm still building it. So a lot of theft here, no. Crime rates are very, very low here in Hong Kong. It's a very safe city. I mean, we have thefts, we have crimes, we have murders even, but by and large, our crime rates are considerably lower than the United States. Well, you can move. Nothing's stopping you from moving. My only advice is try before buying. Visit a country for a good couple weeks before you go there. Don't just go to Europe for a week or something on vacation and say, I'm going to move here. No, go there for a month. Go to the local grocery store. Do stuff like that. And see what it's like to really live there, and then decide if you want to move there permanently. Because the US passport can get you in most countries for about 90 days, and you can really experience things. You know, you could come to Hong Kong, come to Hong Kong, rent an Airbnb place for a month, and go to the grocery store, go to local things, look at the job market, go to the party scene, see what the social life is like, breathe the pollution firsthand, and then decide, could I live in this place? And then see what jobs are out there. And anyone can do it, 90 days. It's 560 round trip, 560 US dollars from the United States to Hong Kong. Party scene is pretty crazy here. Going to Warsaw for a month, you can try it. Oh, that's cool. It's very expensive, yes. I spent about $14 for a gallon of milk. 14 US dollars for a gallon of milk. $10 for a box of Cheerios the other day, and everything's pretty expensive. Long Kwai Fong is the expat party area. Yeah, it's pretty insane. KWAI, LKF as we call it. LKF is pretty mental. But that's one. There's also Soho and Wan Chai, Shangwan, several different party areas. Visit Hong Kong from KL. It's a bit of a flight, actually. It's like 4 or 5 hours from KL to here, I think. There are, these are the places where everybody lives, but everybody is down in the center of the city right now working. This is a residential area. So as you just saw, it's very easy to get away from people. I mean, I can have pretty much my own hike with no people around whenever I want. Yeah, 90 days to one country, 90 to another. Yeah, we call that tapping up, where you go one country, then you go to another, then you come back to the first country. Visit other places in Asia. Yeah. Kale's probably a lot cheaper to use as a base. Bangkok's not bad. It's got a big airport. Oh, yuck. I got bit by a mosquito. I got 2 mosquito bites, actually. So we're heading to my house. Mine's the small one, the 38-story one over there. All the other ones are big. Yeah, nothing like this. Well, maybe we don't want this. Maybe we want something slightly different with some of the good bits. That's the hard part. Gotta take a place that has the good parts of the city you like. I think the population density here creates more opportunities for things we like more retail. I mean, we live across the street from a grocery store. I tell you, I will never, ever not live across the street from a grocery store or within walking distance of a grocery. God, is it convenient. Dog looks old. No, I'm never going to find another New Zealand fish and chip shop unless I open a branch. Convince Matthew to franchise this place. The wife works 9 to 5. I work all the time. I do different stuff. Ow, man, that mosquito bite is big. Yeah, a lot of palm trees and things. So I got zapped by a mosquito. So we gotta go make this video with the kids here. Actually, I'm just gonna burn it. I'm gonna pour incredibly hot water on it until the point I can't stand it, to basically burn out the mosquito bite. Yeah, well, we've got to go walking because I think we're not there yet. What are we at? $13,200 steps. Yeah. Yeah, you can just get the dang thing really, really hot and kind of zap it out. So I got another 6,000 steps. They actually sell this little device. It's kind of like a pocket lighter where you can sort of burn your mosquito bites. Okay, guys, I don't have a dog, but we're thinking about getting a Shibu. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Check out my YouTube, Penguin6.